It's time for another episode of Rainmaker for Contractors. Interviews and success stories with million-dollar-plus basement waterproofing and foundation repair owners. Discover how they market and grow their companies in today's economy. Hear directly from the most successful leaders in your industry. With your host and Rainmaker for Contractors owner, Bill Crawford.
What's up? Welcome, everybody. Today at the Rainmaker for Contractors podcast, we have a super special guest, Willie King from the Basement Kings. Hey, Willie, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. What about you?
I am doing awesome. Very thankful. Hey, thanks so much for being a guest on this podcast. You have a really unique story. It's been really fun to connect with you before I hit record here. Can you tell us a little bit about the Basement Kings and like what services you offer?
Oh, we've been doing basement for almost 30 years. We started off doing basements for residential swimming pool companies, and then basements, and we started building after the financial crisis. We started doing business in our own name, the Basement Kings, because I'm Willie King and I'm the Basement King. So, you know, you get that sound.
For sure.
And we started off building for new homes and found that there was a market for repair. Since we were already doing repairs on swimming pools and stuff like that, concrete's still the same except for gunite. We realized that a lot of contractors in Texas didn't know what they were doing, didn't know the products to use, and were pretty much lost. So I took out 5 years and researched every method there was that I was familiar with, traveled throughout the United States and throughout New England, which is where I really like, and some of the places in Canada, learned how they were putting those basements together. And then I wrote my own book. And after 400 pages, they told me to stop, and decided, you know, I was having fun, and that's what I wanted to do. So I started doing what everybody told me there weren't. They told me there was no basements in Texas, and it was like an internal joke. You know, you're going into business doing something. How are you going to build a basement or repair a basement when there are none in the state? And it turns out that once I ran a couple of ads, I was busy, and I've stayed busy ever since. So I do, you know, like my father said, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So I don't work for a living. I do it 6 days a week, but so.
Is your primary service when you got into the business, was it putting basements into homes?
Yes.
Or did you? Okay. All right.
And then I added a basement to a historical home in Oklahoma. And after we added that one during the financial crisis, we found that there was a market for adding a basement to an existing house that just you couldn't give away. Foundation was real bad. There's nothing they could do. We added a basement to that house, and it didn't last 30 days on the market. And we realized that everybody else was just as crazy as I was. They wanted a basement home.
Yeah. So is it fair to say that a good bulk of your business even today is really installing basements into homes?
No, I'd say if I had to take a percentage, I'd have to say that 30% of my business is 35% of my business is repair. Maybe less than 10 is adding basements to existing homes, and the rest of it is install.
Awesome. That's a great business. And, you know, it looks like you're doing really, really well. Actually, it looks like you've written several books, which is impressive. A lot of authority comes from that. Where can you tell us about your marketing? Where do you get most of your business from?
Everywhere. I'd say a lot of it comes from referrals. Usually somebody says they read about me or heard about me, or a contractor in the area where they were building said that they didn't believe that anybody was going to be able to build a basement there and keep it from leaking other than the Basement Kings, and they were told to give me a call. So it's from contractor to contractor, but we do about we do about 15% of our business, which we call rescue work, where there's a contractor who repaired the basement and tried to stop it from leaking and did everything they could and found that they still couldn't stop it from leaking. So we'll usually, free of charge, usually talk to them over the phone, listen to what they have, look at their images, tell them what we suggest they ought to do to fix it. And if they just can't, we'll usually take out some time and go out there and help them and try to get them through, because if everybody's under the assumption that a basement can't be fixed or can't be built here, then there will be less and less basements. So I realize that if I help other contractors, it pays off, and it pays off in a way that I didn't expect, which is a lot of my referrals come from them. So, my marketing is, we used to do everything through, Angie's and Home Advisors and stuff like that. Now, and Thumbtacks and some of those organizations cut our fees to a quarter because I have a professional inspector's license. So a lot of people will call and it has nothing to do with the basement, and I'll at least point them in the right direction. I'll say, oh, no, that you need to call this person. Oh, no, you know what? You don't want a waterproofer to do waterproofing and drainage in your yard. We're going to kill you in price. So you need to call a landscaper. And they just blown away with wow, you could have done the job. Yeah, but I stay busy enough. If other people could do the job more efficiently and save the customer money, then I prefer them to go that way. So I'll tell them, call a landscaper, and sometimes I get someone like recently where it's leveling a home, which we don't do, but I suggested and pointed them in the right direction on looking at the images that I saw that they were getting ripped off, and told them, if I were you, I'd hire a mason to do this work, and they would level off that and cost you pennies, which money they didn't have. And then I go back to work.
So what I'm getting from that is you guys do exceptional work. You really care about your reputation. You have a lot of integrity. You're getting a lot of referrals, and you're also getting contractors that refer you. And maybe you're spending less money on advertising these days because word on the street is the Basement Kings are the company to go to. Do you find you have much competition in your space in Texas?
I hear people competing against us. There's a couple of companies that popped up that do crawl space work, and but I don't really think I have any competition. I'm being honest. I mean, I have a huge ego, don't get me wrong, but to be honest, because we do crawl spaces and we've done them for over 20 years. Every crawl space doesn't have to be encapsulated. So be honest, if all they need is their proper thing is what we call level and clear out the trash, level it off, and waterproof the outside of the foundation to stop the water from coming in. You don't have to explain to them that they have to spend $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 to encapsulate. So it's amazing. Being honest a lot of times is much more profitable than just selling, So that's what we do. So, it comes back in a lot of different ways, but since we're not just basement repair, we're I'm a master applicator. So there's very few. I'm the only master applicator for waterproofing in the state of Texas. So if there's no waterproofing out there that I do not research on a regular basis and can compare to. So when you can fix a problem with waterproofing, you should do it. You have projects that you can use crack injections for, fine. But why sometimes when you look at a job, when you could waterproof the entire wall for about the same price and it will never leak again, why would you do a small spot? Now, I know it's profitable for that line to keep opening up and for them to keep going back, with that joke. They like their waterproofer so much that he comes back every year,
Right. Sure.
So it shouldn't work that way. So when we advertising, in different forms of advertising, we just simply state what we do and how we do it. And most people, they're either channeling water or they're just waterproofing or they're doing drainage. But since we do it all, I don't know any companies that'll add a basement to a house, that'll construct it from beginning to end, that will offer the same services that we do. We'll go out and we'll talk to a customer, and let's say they hire someone else to build their basement. And we tell them when I leave, at least I do, I say, now, by the way, if you run into a situation, this is not like a regular home. You have a builder and your builder leaves the project, it's a nightmare trying to find another builder to pick that project up. It's a
For sure.
basement, and they can't screw it up in a way that we can't fix it. So if you find yourself swinging in the breeze eventually, and you're trying to finish your basement, give us a call. We'll be happy to come pick it up for where it is, finish it, and warranty it. And we have done that a lot. So I don't know of anybody else that have done that. In 30
I like that
years,
line, Willie. They
Yeah.
can't screw it up so much that we can't fix it. That's selling from confidence. I like it.
you know, well, it's honest.
Yeah.
Everybody who's in this market who builds basements or repairs them, I have seen every one of their methods is because I'm fixing their situation, I'm fixing their problem. And every time my customer asks me the same, they say, well, what's so different about you? Well, no, none of my customers have ever hired anybody else to fix it. And the reason is because what does a customer ask you to do? They ask you to come in, do what you promised to do, the way you said you were going to do it, at the price you said you were going to do it at. And if there's a problem, go fix it.
Yep.
If you do that, there is no room for anyone else.
Sounds reasonable to me.
See?
Right? Just do what you say you're going to do.
In 30 years, I don't have one negative review related to our work.
It's beautiful.
Because I'm not going to allow it. If they called me and they told me, Mr. King, we saw water, there's a 99% chance that they're going to see this face. And I tell them that when I go out to the job, I say, all these other people that are here, there's a very good chance that when this job is completed, this may be the only face you ever see again, because number one, we come out and we service our basements every year. But if you ever have a problem, it's a unique problem for us because we don't have problems. So if you call me, there's a 99% chance I'm going to show up. And I do. So
let me ask you about your sales process. So let's say you get a call for, I have a basement, you didn't do the job, but it leaks, and they want you to put a bid on it. Our audience has, there's a fair amount that want both homeowners there and do the presentation, right? So they're not like waiting around half a day, drive an hour, and they say, gosh, that was great. Can you come back, talk to my spouse, do the same thing? There's other companies that understand that in today's world, people are busy and they're just willing to meet with whoever, and they'll send an email or call once a week until they make a decision. Like, what's your sales process look like to try to put that deal together?
Well, I'm usually booked up anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks in advance. So depending on if it's an actual leak where water's running down the wall, then they get priority from us. Versus they know they have a leak and they want to attack it. We go out and take a look at it, give them, usually we write up a report that lets them know what the problem is, where it came from, and the different methods that we feel that's going to solve their problem, and the methods in which maybe they should stay away from, based off of that type of leak. And then I leave and I go to my next job, and then I go to my next job. There's an 80% chance that I'm not going to follow up that phone call. Because I have a weird thought, and it is my customers know what they want. And if they're not sure that they want to have that problem fixed, I'm fine with that. The person, it's weird. I'm looking for the customer that is like me. And a customer like me has a problem, they want to solve it. And now all they want to know most of the time is be honest with me. Tell me what my problem is. Tell me what you think is going to solve my problem, and give me some price ranges at which I'm expected to be able to spend to do it. And that's what I give them. So I hear them. I have a customer that sent me 2 pages worth of questions because for some reason they wanted a second or third opinion. And I'm going to take out the time to write about everything that they asked me, because I want them to understand that I can answer those questions. They're not dealing with a general sales guy who's going to hand it off to the guy who's going to go over there, and he's not even sure what he was doing because he's not the person who spoke to him originally.
Right.
I explain to my guys in detail, and I'll go out for every job. I open every job and close every job to make sure that it's done exactly the way I thought it should have been done. So
do you have sales reps? Do you have sales reps working for you, or do you run all your own leads?
No, I have 2 sales reps, but afterwards I'm gonna go in and meet every one of my customers.
Okay.
I'm not gonna hand it off to someone, or when they hand it off to me, the job is being done. But I have to go out and meet. I go out and meet every customer. People tell me in the future I won't be able to do that, but right now I still take out the time to do it and shake everybody's hand and see everyone's face to let them know that I take every job personally.
Hey, I don't know where this question is going to go, but you've been in business for a while. You've grown your business. Was there ever a situation where you ran into something and maybe business was really down, or you got stuck, or it could have been even a specific situation and you just thought, like, gosh, I don't know how we're going to get through this. And as you work through it, you look back a year or 2 later and you see that was actually really helpful to have a better business, or something happened in that situation where you're stronger, you scaled more, provided better service, anything like that?
No, let's see. Too damn smart. Well, the only thing I've had that changed anything for me was 2 times. One, waterproofing. I got on a plane and I flew to Canada and met with the manufacturer of my favorite waterproofing now, and they changed everything. They sent me to Mexico and saw how the does and the don'ts are, and certified me to be a master applicator, and that blew my mind. And I went out to Pioneer Basements and met Great Drain Products. And
I know them well.
Yeah, and they were the only ones to show me that there was a lot of things that I wanted to do. I was thinking about making my own parts, and I wanted to change and research pumps and a whole bunch of stuff, and they had already done it. And they took out the time to, it wasn't a show or anything. I'm weird. From time to time, I'll read about a company. Back then, I would read about a basement company, and I'd get on a plane and I'd go meet that company. So I went to New England, and there I was, and saw Pioneer Basements, and went straight there and met them. And next thing you know, they were Great Drain Products, but they were the shop was right next door. And they welcomed me, took me out on the job, showed me how they do what they do compared to how I do it. And I changed quite a few of my methods because I like their method. Their methods were better. So I used their method. I like their products. So I use their products, and use some of their sales method on their website. And they send me customers. And I met a restoration company here that was doing crawl spaces, and they decided they were going to get out of the market, and they through Great Drain Products, they gave me all of their customers to service for all their crawl spaces when they left the business. So yeah, those are the things that happen. So if they're doing something new, then chances are I'm gonna look at theirs first. But those are the only things that really change the way I do business and have done business.
And out of curiosity, who's the company that sent you to Mexico to give you a master applicator certification?
Crichton Waterproofing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
Triton, crystalline waterproofing.
Yeah.
Rather than choosing liners, we stopped using liners 20 years ago. God bless them here in Texas, they're still using waterproof liners. Why would you put something on your job that is going to wear off and you're going to have to go back out there, or someone else is going to have to go back out there? Wouldn't it be nice as a customer to pay for something and the customer that's doing it is trying to solve the job permanently? And putting a liner on one that, you know, if the warranty is 10, 15 years, then think about it. Let's say they excavated that wall and cleaned the wall, which most of them don't properly do because they don't read the instructions, but they did everything they could, then they put the thing back together, and then 8 years later or 10 years later, they had to go back out there and redo the same job. But now that person may be in their 60s or their 70s
Sure.
or their 80s. They're not going to want to do it. They will do it, but it would be nice if somebody came in and did the job and the waterproofing was permanent. So they never had to do it. And if there was ever a spot, touching up wouldn't take more than 15, 20 minutes and it'd be done for free because the manufacturer warranted, paid us to go out there and do it.
That's right.
So no, I don't have any comparative companies that's doing what we do.
Hey, one last question for you, and that is, if you came across a waterproofer younger person, let's say they've been in the business for 2 or 3 years, they're kind of running their own leads, you know, small scale, but they want to grow their business. What advice would you give them?
Oh, well, if they want to grow their business, I would suggest asking them what is their market, because you have you know, online groups like Neighborhood and maybe Thumbtack, something inexpensive to start off with to help them generally get started. But I would tell them to run some inexpensive ads or find a group or an organization. Maybe, you know, if I would have known more about Rainmaker, then maybe, and I heard some good things about you, I would give them a list of 2 or 3 names and include your name and say you ought to check them out, give them a call, find out what they can possibly do for you, because you're going to need somebody at some time to help you generate business. Me, I like leads. I don't know why, but for this business, general advertising just doesn't work. I mean, I hear people saying it, but you know, maybe, you know, we're not in New England. If we were in New England and 90% of every house had a pump, 95% of every house had some type of basement or storage, then you know there's a market at every house. But if you're in a state like Texas and you may be in an area, you may be in an area, I would say subdivision, you may be in an area that only has 2 basements. You may be in a city that only has 4, you know, then he's going to starve in that area. The reason that we don't starve is because our marketing plan is we serve all of Texas, and we serve parts of Oklahoma, and we serve parts of Louisiana. If it's a basement, we are interested in it.
That's a big market. That's a really big market.
But so, which means is, if it rains anywhere in the state of Texas, my phone is ringing. And it works for us. Now, at some, you know, we're doing just as much business in Austin as we do in Houston. And we do just as much business in Houston as we do in Dallas-Fort Worth. So there's quite a few companies here that have been offering the same type of services. And I would say a lot of the phone calls that I used to get, I'm not getting anymore. Well, I get them, but it's usually fixing somebody else's or them wanting us to design and engineer it for. We'll do that too. But other than that, the outer areas are usually really not getting any service at all. Someone will call me and say, you know, we're in Gilbert, or we're 2.5 hours to 4 hours out, and our basement's leaking, and we can't get anyone to come look at it. I'm happy to go look at it.
Nice.
I'll drive for 4 hours, 4.5 hours.
Now, if you sell that thing, you got to send a crew to mop up the mess, right?
Yes, that's true. But the reviews that, I stopped doing this for money already. So when I'm there and it's happened many times that I'm standing in someone's basement and it literally has a foot of water in it. And the woman's crying and there's mold. And they're saying, I can't get anybody. I just can't get anybody. Yeah. And you say, I can fix it. I'll drain this thing out, come back in a couple of weeks, and we'll fix it for you. Here, I'll make you up an estimate, and we'll see. We will take care of it. And I don't care what anybody says. That feeling you get when that job is done, and knowing that they're never going to call anybody else ever again for that basement, I'll let them have the other part. They let them have all the other jobs, and the salesman ripped the person off, and they're going back and forth, and they say, well, I'm not really sure between you and this other company. My answer is always the same. If you're not sure between me and the other company, it might be better for you to hire the other company. And then if they mess up the job, then call me. I'll be happy to come and fix it.
I love that story, though, with the lady. That's something you never forget in your life, that you're able to help someone like that. It makes it all worth it.
Yeah, I've had a couple of fathers standing there with tears coming out of his eyes. Because
that's a beautiful story.
I had a problem, and so they say, who do you help? Well, I get rolled by old people. Oh my goodness, I get rolled because an 80 or 90-year-old woman or man who has that problem where it's a matter of everybody's telling them it's going to cost them 30, 40, 50 grand to do something, and they got a problem that really doesn't cost that much to fix. I get rolled because if there's anybody, which is always them, they're going to always get that discount from me because I took care of my parents and my wife's parents until they passed. And I was always going out there to fix something that somebody else had already tried to fix, that they were just, they were ripping them off. Sure. So I get calls from the daughters and sons a lot that ask me to go look at their parents' house. That happens a lot.
Sure.
And those elderly parents, I get so much benefit by making sure that I know that this is one job that they're not going to get ripped off on.
Beautiful. Hey, Willie, thank you so much for joining us today. It's super interesting story you have. I love how you're making the world a better place with the services you're offering to people. It's awesome. Thanks for your time, and talk to you soon.
All right. I'll look forward to it.
You've been listening to the Rainmaker for Contractors podcast, where basement waterproofing and foundation repair business owners and industry experts share marketing and sales information that helps you reach more customers. Please leave us a review on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform, and get all of our show notes at rainmakerforcontractors.com/podcast.